Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's 1 Million by 1 Million Strategy Roundtable for Entrepreneurs. 1M1M, as you know, is the first and only global virtual accelerator in the world. We run it out of Silicon Valley, but with a global footprint. Our mission is to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million in revenue and beyond, build $1 trillion in global GDP and 10 million jobs. Now, in support of that mission, we do these free public mentoring sessions pretty much every week. This is our 292nd session. This has been going on for a long, long time. And we've had probably way more than 40,000 people participate over the years in these sessions. And across the world, it's been quite exciting, insightful, and fascinating for me, actually, to have a window into the world's entrepreneurs and what's happening, what are people working on, what kind of trends are emerging. And we've had the privilege of working with so many of you for so long. It's been really cool. The event is being recorded. You will have a recording available both on our blog and our YouTube channel. If you're following us on Twitter, you could use the hashtag if you could use the handle 1M by 1M or @Stromana. Either way, we publish a lot of high-quality content on entrepreneurship. And hashtag 1M1M is what you're going to use if you're live tweeting the show today. The YouTube channel is 1M1M Roundtables. You'll find recordings of all our prior sessions there, as well as other interesting content. But again, the YouTube channel is also a very content-rich channel that you can tap into as your learning process evolves in the entrepreneurship discipline. These are the call-in instructions for the call. We will open the call up later on, not quite yet. So keep the numbers on file. I will put the slide up again when we are ready for call-in. Today I'm going to introduce you to Raj Datta. He's the CEO and co-founder of BloomReach. And I am really thrilled to have Raj here because I met Raj some years ago, and I was fascinated by what he was doing. And I'm also looking forward to catching up with you, Raj, on where things are today and how things have been going for the last few years that we haven't talked. So welcome. Is Raj's audio video working?
I think so. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. What about your video? There we go. Perfect. Okay. We have the video on. So Raj, tell us about BloomReach. I know it's a fascinating technology, and I've always been quite excited about what you're doing. So let us share with our audience about BloomReach.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me on the show, Stromana. It's a pleasure to be here after a couple of years after we launched publicly. And, you know, the vision of the company and the mission of the company have really remained intact over the last several years. And the intention was always to create a personalized web, to create a digital experience on sites and apps that enabled every time you were going online, whether it was for shopping purposes or whether it was to look for a movie or look for a vacation destination, that the website you'd see, the experience you would see would be exactly on point with what you were looking for as a consumer, and exactly on point with what that marketer or enterprise was looking to offer you on behalf of their business. And, you know, so often when we started the company, we felt like most websites were still very static. What you saw was the same thing as what I as the other thousands and thousands of visitors to that website or app. And how could we make that a whole lot more dynamic, a whole lot more personalized, a whole lot more relevant? And so we built a platform that today we call the BloomReach personalization platform that you can take any website or app, plug into, and it's going to return the perfect web page or the perfect app experience. And that's going to result in you finding what you're looking for and the business delivering what. So the proposition is actually quite simple, but the technology underneath the covers has always been, you know, quite complex. And you know, I think we're still early innings in delivering on that vision.
And what kind of customers have you seen the maximum traction with and the maximum impact in personalizing their user experiences?
So it's been, our initial target market has very much been in the commerce space. So today we work with some of the largest e-commerce companies in the U.S., about 170 brands, many of which are in the top 500. retailers, brands, B2B commerce businesses, Williams-Sonoma and people like Neiman Marcus and large retailers that often have a high level of diversity of content, products, and services. So the problem of what the perfect dress is or page is or content is exactly to use out there on the web shopping has been the use case that we targeted initially and has been a very successful initial market for us.
And you are an enterprise software company, yes?
That's right. We're a SaaS company.
Enterprise SaaS company. So when you first came to see me, I think it was back in 2012, I went back and checked when we did your first story. You had just come out of stealth, raised your first round of financing, I think it was a Series A, and you had announced your product. But you already had a lot of enterprise customers and significant revenue. If I recall, you were already over $5 million in revenues. And how did you get to that level of validation and traction in a bootstrap mode? And what can our entrepreneurs learn from you?
Yeah, I think several things. It started, I think, with a clear identification of the problem. In my view, it's very important to have an ambitious long-term vision, but it's very important to have a very practical and incremental execution plan when you're small and have very few resources. And so we were very focused. I think, the initial problem area we identified was for e-commerce, and within e-commerce, how could we build content dynamically using machine learning that would have the effect of increasing the amount of acquisition of new visitors for those websites. So in the early days of the company's life, it was myself, my co-founder Ashu, a small team of engineers. There were 5 or 6 of us, and we would just call people within our target market and literally say, hey, we have this amazing technology that can personalize your digital experience. If it works, it's going to massively increase your customer acquisition. If it doesn't work, well, you've tried something that is highly innovative and probably has the opportunity to give you competitive differentiation in the market. And what I can promise you is that we have the best team of technologists that will be working with you to make it successful, and we'll be willing to do whatever it takes to make that happen. And if you're willing to innovate with us, we'd love to work with you. So we're quite straightforward with our prospects about the early risks on the technology, and just being transparent with them in some ways, I think, endeared us to them. And after a lot of conversations, we probably pitched 100 people. We got our first 1 or 2 people who would be willing to work with us. And we iterated with them, and just as we predicted, it actually did not work initially. And then we went through the process of fine-tuning it, improving it, iterating with them, and ultimately we got our first 1 or 2 clients, and everything took off from there.
How long does it take you to actually show results in your technology?
So these days, it takes 6 to 8 weeks typically is the pilot period we will run. Even today, though we have 250 people and hundreds of clients, we go in and offer a pilot in which we'll go in and say, hey, connect to our APIs and we'll power your experience and we'll show you the incremental acquisition benefit or conversion benefit or revenue benefit that results from the technology, and we'll be able to demonstrate that to you in the pilot. And so that initial thinking from the very early days back in 2009 and 2010, where we would prove the value early on, has remained a core part of the go-to-market plan for the company.
And that was true, the 6 to 8 week to showing metrics and ROI was true in the beginning as well?
That was true in the beginning as well. It's actually probably compressed to where it is, it can be done in much shorter time periods today. But we felt at that time, absolutely, it was 6 to 8 weeks, and it was highly variable, frankly, because it was not a proven technology at that point. There was a great deal of R&D risk in the company in its early days. And so there was a lot of variability to that early on. But when it worked, it had such a profound impact on the revenue of our client that people were willing to be patient to see it work out. And that was maybe another lesson that I had in those early days was to really make sure that the business impact on our clients was significant enough that it was worth working with the startup.
Right, right. And you were working with very, very sophisticated technology. So how did you bring this team together, and in a period where you did not raise financing, how did you sustain that team for that long a period?
Right. Well, we picked a problem area that most people at that time said, the idea of using machine learning to power very varied digital experiences, everything from businesses that are selling books to electronics to clothing to content or whatever it might be. And so when we went to the initial, initially when we thought about it, we said there's really a very small group of people with expertise in machine learning and search and relevance and personalization that we need to recruit. And many of them Google and Facebook and large companies at that time. And so we would go to them and we'd say, hey, this is an unsolved technical problem that if solved would go a long way towards just improving the quality of the experience on the internet. I think almost the difficulty of the problem was a motivator for the right set of people. It was a challenge that they were willing to take on because it seemed worth it. And so by making it such a daunting challenge, we were able to get the initial set of people together. And it was really only a team of 5 or 6 people, but it was the right 5 or 6 people. And then we gave them a long window of time to iterate and fail and try and improve, and that enabled us to ultimately get there. And that, in turn, gave us barriers to entry downstream.
And these people all work for equity?
These people all work for equity. We did have some support at some point from, seed and Series A investors, but in the early days, very much it was about equity, and it was about. Fortunately, I had been in startups before, and I had started companies before, so I had enough credibility with them and with the fundraising market to have some credibility in future possibilities of raising financing, which all came to be true, downstream.
Did you put some of your own money?
Put some of my own money, put a great deal of time. Certainly was not, I wasn't, I had a family, I had a daughter, I lived in California. It was by no means a low burn environment to be, and and I think that just shows that it's all possible. It's, there's no right time or there's no right circumstance within which to do it.
So what you've done, this bootstrap first, raise money later philosophy, it's a mantra for 1M by 1M. We kind of use this as our, key blueprint, so to speak.
Right.
We have case study after case study on this particular method. You seem to have followed that principle to a T. What in your view are the advantages, and what are there any disadvantages?
I think I'm probably, there are businesses that I know today that have been bootstrapped all the way, and there are businesses that were completely, financed all the way. And we were exactly in the middle, I would say, in the sense that we were bootstrapped in the early days, but then at some point the opportunity became large enough that we went out and raised financing and built the business. And I think for us that was the right balance. In the early days, it's typically the case that money is not your real barrier. If money is your barrier, then the nature of the problem that you're going to pick is probably not the right problem anyway, because it's very rare that the competitive advantage of a startup is the amount of capital that it has. It's typically the idea, the proposition, the technology, other set of factors. And so if that's true, then in some sense bootstrapping, or just being very cash efficient in the early days is actually a very effective focusing function. It requires you to really identify what the core essence of the business is and get that right. And that core essence serves you well downstream with or without money. And so I think there's a lot of advantages in the early days to not throwing a lot of money at a problem. It really requires you to raise the bar of your idea, your execution, your team, your proposition, your selling skills, your really across the board. And that very much proved true to us. So the way we looked at it was we need to prove it out in a fairly bootstrapping, very low burn kind of manner. But then once we proved it out, then to really build it out and scale it out, money was valuable because it could really be an accelerator to achieve that vision.
And are there any disadvantages to this methodology, do you think?
I think the disadvantages are it probably limits the type of opportunities one can go after, in the sense that if you were going out and saying, okay, I'm going to build a rocket that's going to go to the moon, it's pretty hard to undertake those kinds of propositions in this manner. So it eliminates a set of opportunities that may be more difficult to undertake. But that still leaves a lot. So I'm not sure there's huge disadvantages. Certainly, it also creates circumstances where certain groups of people, under economic circumstances where they absolutely can't do it, can't do it. But once again, I find that those are the might.
So what has happened in the last 4 years? Key milestones, key achievements, metrics? I know you've grown very well. So talk about the journey of the growth journey, the market adoption, et cetera.
The journey has been terrific. I think we did wait even after we raised before we publicly launched the company because we wanted to really have substance and not just hype. And so it had substance in 2012 when we launched publicly, and then today, as we get into 2016, the company is very much a leader in this personalization software marketing. It's being called marketing SaaS kind of space. And we've got about 200 people. We have subsequently raised a fair amount of capital, actually. So just last week, we announced a $56 million capital raise in a capital.
What is the total amount of capital that you've raised now?
We have raised about $98 million in the business. We have about 170 brands. We are on a path where, from a revenue perspective, I think we have the growth rates and the unit economics and the metrics to suggest that the key metrics of a public offering are possible and within reach. And so,
in what time frame?
The time frame is hard to know. Certainly, the metrics would support being there within 2 years. The decision about whether to do it or not, I think, is independent.
Sure.
But the metrics would support having the scale and the unit economics to where it could be a publicly traded software company if it chooses to be, within that time frame.
And what are some of the, strategic highlights of how you have shepherded your way through this growth?
Yeah, so I almost would think of us as having gone through almost 3 phases of the company's evolution. In 2009, it was an R&D problem. It was a small team. It was proving out the technology. From 2010 to 2012, we picked one market, which was e-commerce. We picked one problem area, which was customer acquisition. We picked one geography, which was the U.S. We picked one market segment, which was the enterprise segment. And we said, let's win there. And so from 2010 to 2012, we were very focused on that single application, and the business skyrocketed because we were very focused. Around 2012, we then said, okay, we have some credibility. We have been successful in that market segment. Let's get back to the original vision of personalizing the entire digital experience, and let's broaden the proposition into multiple products. And so we made yet another controversial decision, which was not just to scale purely through sales and marketing, but to double down on innovation and product development. And we doubled our investment. And from 2012 to now, we have very much been building out multiple applications towards a single platform with the idea that there's many different digital experiences. People are sometimes on email, on a mobile device, on landing pages, on the search box, and we want all of it to be personalized. We want that entire platform to come from BloomReach. And so we have really gotten into multi-product development and then ultimately into the validation of those products with our customers and the selling of those products much more broadly. So that's been very much the third phase, I would say, is scaling through multiple products. And so here we are today, and I think that puts us in a position where we have a platform opportunity in addition to just a single application SaaS opportunity.
And do you have customers who are buying the entire portfolio, the entire platform? Yes?
We have a lot of start with one, adopt multiple of them, or buy the whole platform from the get-go. And so it's been a very effective strategy in the sense that selling more to the same set of people and being more valuable to the same set of people improves sales and marketing metrics. It endears you to your client. It deepens customer relationships. It improves the average deal size that you have, and it has a cascading effect on all of the economics of the business.
Now, what about sales? Is this something that you're selling all direct through your own sales force? Do you partner with the system integrators? What has been your strategy?
So we sell it direct, and we have a go-to-market team at this point that is about 40 people. So there's a substantial investment in direct selling, and it is large enterprise selling, and so it requires that kind of sales force. But in the meantime, we have also developed a series of partnerships with systems integrators. We announced a significant partnership with IBM. We announced a partnership with Demandware and SAP. So we have had some partnerships, but I would say they have been complementary to the primary go-to-market of the company, which has been going direct. And it was an important choice as well. You know, we either your sort of high price point and going direct, or your very low touch and your self-serve proposition or a channel proposition. In our case, it was the former.
It also sounds like the kind of product you're building, the level of personalization, the level of continuous R&D is actually, it's beneficial to have direct customer relationships because you achieve a lot higher customer intimacy in that process, and just the channel between the customer feedback and the product team is much faster.
Right. It is helpful to have those kinds of intimate customer relationships, and in many cases, our customers, we take on a lot with them. Our billions of dollars of transactions, for them. And at this point, 20% of e-commerce revenue in the U.S. at some point goes through a page that's powered by BloomReach. And so you can imagine that the degree of testing and validation that a customer that's processing billions of dollars of revenue for their business is going to demand from a partner is quite high. And so it's important that we retain that customer intimacy and build the supporting functions as well that enable that kind of environment.
And what about pricing? So if that percent, 20% of, almost 20% of e-commerce revenue is going through BloomReach, do you actually get a percentage of that?
No, in effect we do. We don't price by taking a total percentage of the total, but a lot of our proposition, because we will run pilots and proofs of concept, is to demonstrate the ROI. So if there's a billion-dollar company and we can have a 20% top-line impact or a 10% top-line impact, on $100 or $200 million of top-line impact on a business. And so if you're able to demonstrate that, they are willing to pay for that, and they're willing to share in some of those economics. And we try to make it so that we don't overcomplicate the pricing. At the same time, it is the kind of proposition that is high value, and it is not inexpensive.
So what is it anchored on? What is your pricing anchored on?
It's typically tiered by some metric. And so we have several applications now. Some of those applications are tiered by page views on the website. Some are tiered by revenue on the website. Some are tiered by usage or API calls. So it just depends. Now we have several applications that are priced consistent with the way the buyer buys. But all of them are SaaS pricing models that have long-term contracts and predictable revenue streams associated with them.
Interesting. Okay. Now, you just raised a round of financing. I'm not sure, we're probably seeing kind of like the tail end of unicorn mania, but the unicorn mania still exists. There are, I think, about 246 unicorns in the market right now. Are you one of them, and what do you think of this unicorn mania?
I just don't think it's relevant, from the perspective of an entrepreneur. I mean, it's purely about, it's purely about hyping up a series of companies. I've never really spent a lot of time worried about that, thinking about that, focused on that, or anything of that kind. I think we have a couple of basic principles. First and foremost, achieve the product vision and achieve the customer vision. And then on the financial side, just be a responsible steward of capital and people and ideas, along the way. And so we have never gotten caught up in valuation levels that are massively in excess of the reality of the company. I believe that at the end of the day, the responsibility of a founder in their heart of hearts is to raise money at a valuation they believe they deserve, and they can look deeply into their heart and determine if they deserve that valuation. Because at the end of the day, the rubber meets the road and you have to deliver, and so what is the point of raising money at insane prices and all the press that comes along with that and having a big party, and then 2 or 3 years down the road facing the reality of down rounds and layoffs and bad investments and all of those consequences, occur. And because this is the third time I've been down this road, and I was around in 2001 and I saw what happened, and I've been through that road, I have been much more careful about making sure that we raise capital effectively at the right price. We've had steady up rounds all throughout. We've created value for our employees, our shareholders, our customers, and ourselves every step of the journey, methodically and systematically. And I think that's been the right way to go. So I'm not worried about the unicorns. I agree. I think the recent fundraising process, it's more than tail end. I would say that for the really later stage companies, as we are a growth stage company, the markets are all but shut down for those unicorn companies that don't deserve those valuations.
Yeah, the thing that's very unhealthy that has been going around is a lot of entrepreneurs kind of have caught up in this mania, and they think that, to hire, you need to be a unicorn. To get any publicity, you need to be a unicorn. You need to be in this unicorn club lists that come out and so forth. And I don't know if you've read any of the coverage that we have been doing. We kind of, lay things bare. If you don't have the metrics, if you have a unicorn valuation, fine, but you're going towards the unicorn, so to speak. And
it actually is worse, because yeah, you have the moment of joy, but I totally agree with your writing on this topic. It winds up hurting you downstream because you have sold employees a bill of goods. You have sold your customers, your investors, all of those things. It doesn't come to pass. And then you're dealing with much more dire consequences downstream. And actually, the investors will always protect themselves because they have all the structure in those rounds to do so. The key management team, members will ultimately get protected because the investors need them. And the people that will get screwed are the employees. And that's just
actually, from an employee's point of view, if you're kind of thinking of joining a startup that touts itself to be a unicorn, you should be very, very careful, because that may not be the best path for your career from a financial point of view. It may look very good on your resume that you work for a unicorn company for 3 years or whatever, but that may not. You may end up making only your salary and nothing, no upside at all, if you get caught up in an imploding unicorn situation. Absolutely.
And one of the things we try to do a lot is be very transparent about, so as you point out, it can be hard to hire and be honest about these things, and hard to be honest about these things. So we've tried to be very transparent about explaining this to, both within our hiring process as well as within our existing employee base, so that people understand this very clearly. And I think that helps. Ultimately, most folks who work in the technology industry in some form, are totally capable of understanding.
Yeah, they're very smart people. There's nothing not to understand. It's just they don't know what questions to ask. Right. And there are a certain set of questions that you should ask in this kind of a negotiation to make sure that you are joining the right opportunity. There's an opportunity cost to your career. Raj, thank you very much for coming. I know you have to run. We have 4 entrepreneurs today who are going to be presenting. I hope everybody enjoyed. Is there anybody who wants to ask a quick question of Raj before he takes off? You can ask in public chat, but we really have 2 minutes before we have to switch to the presenters. Very quickly, folks. Pooja Bindu Madhav is asking, Raj, why is it hard to hire? What do you look for while hiring?
Number one, we look for consistency with our culture, which we're very passionate about and we write a lot about and talk a lot about. We certainly look for all the, depending on the job function, if it's a technical job function, we'll make sure that they're the top set of folks in their field and can cope with the environment and the problem space that we're looking for. We'll certainly look for all of the other intangibles that make somebody a great BloomReacher. And it is hard to hire, but it is very possible. And then the other thing that I've learned about hiring is about staying in your lane, in the sense that you may not be the right person for all the amazing people in the world. You are the right person for the very specific set of people for whom you are a good. Staying in your lane means that you can, and we have been a great brand in the big data space and the data science space, and so we have recruited some of the best people in the world, in that space, and they ultimately themselves recruit other great people in that space. People recruit people, and so that's been what's most effective for us. from a hiring perspective.
Raj, one last question from Gauri Das, who's asking, in the early stages, do your product vision get impacted by your seed or venture funders?
I think they do if you choose the wrong partners, which is very possible. You have to remember that the selection of your investors is a marriage, for the long term. So choose wisely, and it's very important that they have
a marriage without a divorce possibility.
A marriage without a divorce possibility, and what I really believe about investors is that there's some upside in choosing the right investors, but there's a lot more downside in choosing the wrong investors. An investor is very unlikely to make you a successful company by themselves, but it's very possible they can destroy a successful company quite easily, frankly. And so it's very important to select the right investors, not just that believe in your vision, but that you believe in as people, because they're going to be with you for a long time, through good times and bad times. And the question you have to ask is, in those really dark moments, which you will have, are they the call you're very comfortable making?
Yeah. Very good, Raj. Thank you for coming, and we'll keep following your journey. It's inspiring, and we love what you're doing.
Good work.
Bye-bye. Folks, we are going to start the entrepreneur pitch sessions. I want to set a few expectations before we go into this segment of our program today. To all of you who are going to be presenting, please know that we are on your side. There is no other agenda here. We're not here to gratuitously make you feel bad or any of that. This is purely a constructive working session. Our agenda here is to be with you and give you feedback that will help you, hopefully, get to the next level and make some progress somehow. And it is an accelerator. What we do here is an accelerator. And you are doing your best. You have a certain amount of experience. We do have more experience. We've brought together a lot of experience here, which we try to put behind you so that you can accelerate your journey. And it is very possible that you may disagree with the feedback that you get today. Don't feel bad about it. Just think about it and decide whether you want to accept that feedback or act upon it. But do consider it, because typically you do get considered feedback. The other myth that I want to put on the table is that not all businesses can raise money. Not all businesses should raise money, and raising money doesn't guarantee success. So please don't get obsessed with financing. Entrepreneurship, in our view, equals customers, revenues, and profits. Financing and exit are optional. Those are great tools. Financing is a great tool to build a business in the right circumstances. But you have to choose those circumstances right, make those strategic decisions right, and choose to work with the right people, as Raj just said. The wrong investors, the wrong set of investors, the wrong kinds of investors, the wrong personalities can destroy your entrepreneurial journey. All right, so that's pretty much it. Those of you who are not pitching today, please also participate by asking questions in the chat. And this is a roundtable, so we want you to participate as much as possible and engage with the audience, with the presenters, with me, with everybody else around. So we're going to start with Shrikant Puram. Shrikant, are you on the call?
Yeah, I'm here. Hi, Shramana.
Go ahead. Hello. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hi. Actually, since we are in the interest of time, I just want to go through the first few slides very fast because, and I just want to get to the stage at which we are in, and then we can discuss about more things. Okay, next slide, please. Actually, these are my, I just want to talk about a few key people, but just let's move to the next one. Okay, so the motto for us is to build the next generation enterprises using open source technologies, using our platform GenYD. So this is the motto with which we started, and that is how we are progressing. So let's move to the next one.
Is GenYDE is an existing platform?
Yeah, that we have created.
And it is out there in the open source domain today?
Actually, GenYD is our IP. It is working on top of open source tools to make them more effective.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So whom do we target? Actually, we are targeting businesses and technology implementation partners who are actually who want to try something which is away from the traditional proprietary software. The problems that we see are like there is not any integration platform which specifically works with the open source tools, and also there is we don't see technology providers who are cost efficient and effective. I mean, this is I think everyone says is that we are I mean we are cheaper, faster, and better. But so I just want to move on. The next one is like there is no time-tested, reliable alternative to proprietary softwares. So that is one problem. And the other one is like we see these vendors discontinuing the proprietary tools because of some reason or the other, like it doesn't fit into their business, but there are a lot of people who actually depend upon it. So that is one other problem. Okay, can we move on to the next slide?
Shrikant, before we move on to the next slide, here's a piece of feedback. You just, this slide positions your business. It's supposed to position your business. And as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't position your business, because the claims that you're making here are there are no open source integration tools. That's not true. There are no technology providers who are cost effective and efficient. Not true. Time-tested and reliable alternative proprietary software, open source is a category. Open source, there's plenty of open source software. So this positioning doesn't work. You really need to work hard to come up with a positioning that does work.
Okay, sure. So the solution that we are suggesting is like, as we said, like using the open source alternatives, and then we actually look into the specific best-in-class open source technologies to solve a particular business problem, and on top of it, we have our GenYD platform, and then provide highly customized solutions for our end customer. So that is the solution that we came up with. Okay, can we move on? So what is our unique selling proposition? So, I mean, basically how we differ from others. I mean, when we talk about others, like I'm pitching against customized software providers or the customized solution providers. So we have our own platform, GenYD, which actually is efficient enough in connecting to various open source tools. And the other thing that we are talking about is the unexplored territories. What I mean by unexplored territories is there are a lot of areas in business applications where people actually do customized software development, and the same thing is repeated several times. So, I mean, the business proposition that we are doing is like using these open source tools and our platform, these unexplored territories can actually be captured. So today, for example, I'll just give you a small example. For example, if you look at all these BPM softwares, so when you talk about BPM, it's for large enterprises and these kinds of things, but what we have done is like we have taken them to very small problems, and then we were able to effectively implement it, and we were able to repeatedly do that. Okay, so this is like how do we reach our customers. So currently this is like we use the we try to build a partner network, and through our professional network using social media, and we do a little bit of digital marketing and content development, I mean using our content. And going forward, we just want to have a dedicated sales team and just go with that. Can we move on? Okay, so this is the slide that I want to talk about more. So we are currently bootstrapped, and we have been doing decently okay. The way we started is like, first we started with validating our idea of having this platform. So we built a basic working format of it, and to validate it, there was a Solar-based startup, so they wanted a customized software. So instead of like going through the basics of like using some PHP or whatever, what we did was like we took an application which is available on the open source market. There is a gap between what the customer needed and what that is providing, and through our platform, we were able to stitch in 2-3 tools and then provided them with the solution in probably around 2-3 weeks, and that was definitely faster than what they were getting from anybody else. And that was a successful thing from our side, where we were actually validating it. But obviously, like that company didn't go well, but we made, our validation was done. So the next thing was like,
how much did the customer pay for what you did for them?
It was a very small amount, around, I think it was around $1,000 or $1,200. But because it was for validation, right? Yeah, so we didn't really, it was more for getting it through. But the next part, so then what we did was, like, my partner, like, he has good connections into the healthcare industry. He's kind of a veteran over there. So what she was trying to do is, like, trying to get into the healthcare market and looking into specific problems that they face, and using our platform and the specific problems and looking into the open source tools that can solve that, we were able to repeatedly generate revenue from that. So in the last 1 year, we generated around $65,000 to $70,000 from that single customer. And basically we partnered with a service provider, and our goal here is, because that we are able to do this repeatability and scalability over there, so we were trying to find problems in that particular area and using our platform and trying to basically they have that trust at this point of time, so we are actually getting more traction in that area. Now, using that, I'm actually achieving two benefits. One is obviously the revenues, continuous stream of revenues coming in. The second one is, like, in the healthcare domain, we are not, again, because of a startup, like, we don't want to target their key things and we don't want to be left out. So we are looking into areas which are on the periphery, for example, program management, education and outreach, and these kinds of things, where they don't get bitten too much, but at the same time, like, they are willing to try, and they need the efficient and cost-effective solutions, and that I felt was a perfect fit for us. I mean, we can fit into, like, even the critical parts, but I didn't want to take that risk, or I didn't want even to get into that at this stage of our company.
I will go back to my earlier comment that you really need to position this company. It's too all over the place for my taste, and these kinds of all over the place strategies don't scale. So the best thing I heard is that there was a customer that in the healthcare space that you were getting repeat revenues from, and there is repeatability in that customer. So I would advise you to really go deep into that customer scenario, that use case, and model it and see if we can build a positioning around that.
But actually, my solution is like not a healthcare specific solution, right?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The technology that powers Uber can power all kinds of things, but Uber has chosen to focus on something that gives them scalability and repeatability. Technology today can solve all kinds of different things. In a crowded business environment, unless you create specializations and you create positioning, you will never be able to scale a company.
But I mean, okay. And I mean, the other question that I have is, like, should I stick on to one customer, or should I use that space and go to multiple customers in that area?
You need to learn how positioning works. And it's too big a discipline for me to teach you in 2 seconds, but and I'm happy to work with you to help you with your positioning, and in the program you can learn positioning, but you do need to learn positioning. That is the critical thing that you need to learn, and your questions will be answered when you put these questions in the framework of positioning. This company, currently the company you're running, the pitch that you've just presented, it has no positioning, and this just doesn't work. The good news is you have material in your company, you have successes, you have revenues, you have use cases based on which we can create a positioning. But I would say this is your first order of business, is go figure out the positioning. And if you choose to work with 1 million by 1 million, we will that's the first thing we're going to do is fix your positioning. Okay? This is very good that you have $300,000 in revenue. That means that there is actually lots of information to create a good positioning out of that, the successful use cases, the successful customers, and so forth. So 15 customers is great, 7 partners is great. All this is fabulous because then you have at least, you know, some information with which to do a successful positioning exercise. So it's completely doable. You need to get it done. All right?
Sorry, I just got disconnected.
Okay, you can pick up my feedback in the recording, all right? I don't want to run. I have 3 more people that I have to work with right now. So I've given you full feedback. You will have the recording available after the session.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. All right, we're going to Lisa Batra next. Lisa, could you unmute your line, please?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Lisa Batra, and I'm the founder and CEO of My Kids Thread. Just really quickly, you can go to the next slide. So the problem that we're trying to solve here is that kids go through 7 sizes of clothing in their first 2 years of life, and many more to come in the future. There's 3 main issues here. Is that it's expensive for parents to keep their kids in high-quality clothing as they're rapidly growing. It's very time-consuming to find the right clothing at the right price, and that parents don't know what to do with their clothes once their child outgrows them. Next slide, please. So the solution here is My Kids Threads. It's an online destination for busy moms to buy and sell their outgrown children's clothing. We have launched a website for about 18 months. It's fully operational. Online, you can buy, we have thousands of curated designer new and like new children's clothes from top brands, everywhere from Burberry to Gap, at up to 80% off retail prices. On the sell side, parents can request a free mailer bag. It's a poly bag. They fill it up. It has a prepaid shipping label, and they send it back. We handle the rest over at the company, and the moms or parents get paid once their items sell. Next slide.
Who does the cleaning? Who does the dry cleaning or whatever kind of cleaning is necessary to keep the clothes clean?
Oh, great question. So we have a whole outline of what we accept on the site, and so we do only accept clothing that is in excellent condition. It should be already cleaned and dried when the user places it in the bag. The
seller does the cleaning.
Exactly, the seller, yes.
Okay.
We do actually reduce up to 50% of what comes in for various reasons. Okay, so just quickly the team. I mean, I'm the founder. I have a retail background for Fortune 500 companies. You can go to the next slide. Our key differentiators here, because this is a space, a resale space. I would not say it's saturated, but there are competitors.
There are lots of competitors.
There are. We set ourselves apart in a few ways. One is our assortment. We focus on specific brands. So you will not see brands from big box retailers on My Kids Threads. You will not see Target, Walmart brands. So we focus on higher end brands that have quality and a good resale value. We do offer personalization to our customers. So believe it or not, I have a lot of moms coming to me saying, you know, coming for advice. What would you suggest? Or, you know, we have moms that their first purchase is newborn clothing, and then they shop with us, you know, for their kids as they're growing through the year. Our payout is the biggest differentiator. We operate on a consignment model, which means we do not own any of our inventory. We also pay on a consignment model, so we're not paying our consignors pennies on the dollar. We're actually paying them 50% of the resale price in store credit or 40% in PayPal check or donation to a nonprofit charity. We also give back. So we've partnered with several nonprofits, and we can partner with any school to do fundraising, but we've partnered with nonprofits to actually donate unaccepted and unsold clothing. When the consignment period is up, we consign for 1 year.
Okay.
Next slide. So, we haven't been in business for 18 months, as I talked about. We have paying clients. We are operational. We have great reviews from our customers. Next slide. And this year, we should be profitable. So, retail is one of the fastest growing segments in the industry. It's a $16 billion revenue opportunity, as stated by NARTH. What we are going after is our no inventory and ownership. We have very low operating costs because we have low overhead and fixed costs. Our platform that we built on Magento is also fully scalable to go into maternity, women's, and men's. So we are looking to scale the business over and above children's clothing. And then there's a potential to build a mobile.
What is your revenue level right now?
So revenues, we have about 700. We've had about 700 orders. Revenues are, they're less than 50,000.
So I would caution you against going into other product verticals at this point. You should be a, tens of millions of dollars company before you even think about going into any other verticals. Just doing this vertical is going to be a full-time job, so don't even bother. Don't stumble into a bunch of different verticals and do a half-assed job of each of them.
Okay, understand. Just to allay the land, our competitors are ThreadUp. We have some mobile apps that are competitors, so companies like Citizen. We feel that, given our core differentiators, we're confident we could be an industry disruptor.
Why? What is different about it? There are competitors. There are heavily funded competitors. We are very familiar with ThreadUp, and so what is different about? So the reason I'll just give you some subtext of the question I'm asking you. There has been quite a few, implosions in the e-commerce business. In various parts of the e-commerce business with very heavy-duty funding that didn't really scale from business point of view, from fundamentals point of view. Zulily has imploded and Fab has imploded. There's a number of e-commerce implosions. So if this is true, the claim that you make here is that you can get profitable in 2016 and you can grow organically, it seems to me that may be a better path to building this business than trying to go the VC funding route in an environment where the sentiment, the market sentiment is not in your favor.
Right. I do agree with you, and that's some great insight. And I've kind of been struggling with that, but I think that's been pretty clear to me over the past few months.
The question that I would ask, Lisa, is you're at, let's say, $50,000 a year in revenue in 2015. What does it take to get to $1 million a year in revenue?
Right, and that's my question for you.
What are the levers? Right. What are the levers that you need to push to get there?
Exactly. And that's kind of the plan that I'm putting together right now. I have a very, very small team, and there hasn't been a lot of investment in marketing at all. We're bootstrapping everything. And yeah, and so I listened to your sessions too, and I'm taking a lot of your advice. I think it's wonderful. It's been a challenge to take that corporate hat off and then become an entrepreneur and have very little to work with. But at the same time, I think we need to make a lot of inroads to get to that 1 million. And part of my question and question for you is insight on how to actually scale this business.
That's what we do. That's what this whole 1 million by 1 million program is all about. We are happy to, help you through that process. There are many different aspects to this that you're going to need to fine-tune, and the program covers all of those aspects. The thing that I'll add to what I said earlier is that if, let's say, in the process of going from 50K to 1 million, as we are tuning your business, as we are putting strategies in place, if something really hits that gives you a very fast clip of growth and that gives you a financial lever where you think that, okay, I'm doing this, I'm putting in, let's say, $500 and I'm pulling out $50,000 or something that is a financial scalability metric, then it would make sense to go to investors, and investors would also resonate with your value proposition. But until then, this is under the threshold where investors would want to engage with you. So keep that in mind. Let's focus your energy right now. For 2016, let's focus your energy on this 50,000 to 1 million phase, and let's tune the business with strategies that help you get there.
Okay, great.
All right.
Thank you.
So model is fine. I have no problems with the model. Co-founder is not necessary. There are lots of pieces to an e-commerce business. All those pieces, actually, you can freelance hire all those pieces. You know, Upwork is a great platform to hire all these pieces from. You can do all that, and that would be fine. I wouldn't go for a bootstrap business. You should not invest in hiring a lot of people, because that becomes a cash drain on the business. You really need to get the pieces together, and a lot of it is technology. A lot of this is, there is a ton of technology out there that you need to learn to apply to your business, and strategies, basically.
Great. Thank you.
Bye. You're welcome. Okay, we are going to, how do you say, is Christina presenting? Christina Madeiras? Christina, if you could unmute your line. From Porto Alegre, Brazil.
Porto Alegre, Brazil, yes, I'm from south of Brazil. And Navega o Mundo in English means navigate the world. Navega o Mundo was created back in 2000 when we saw a possibility of taking education plus culture in a fun and interactive way to children through a low cost and long range. Back there was the internet. So we put our personal financial together and we developed our minimum viable product. So the value proposition of that, we would like to be the protagonist of taking education to a next level. We believe that edutainment is going to be a very good methodology because it's a factor that will capture children's attention and consequently drive them to learn. Navega o Mundo has its differential because it's contextualized in the real environment. So we'd like to bring the cultures together, deliver information and knowledge by using the edutainment app. We are going to become a support, a strong tool to educators and students, and the content will be adapted to children's world and will stimulate a child's culture intelligence, which we think is going to be very important because when you have the culture intelligence motivated, you learn and interact in the real content. Navega o Mundo also was recognized by UNESCO because of its concept and for sharing its mission of promoting policies for the development of education, science, and culture as a way of strategy and progress of citizenship and social welfare. That was a big hit for us, UNESCO giving us that approval. Next, please.
Go ahead.
The products that we are developing and aiming to launch in the market, it's important to point that our product will not be a long-distance teaching. It's a platform of edutainment that will be a tool for children and educators. We believe that anything that's more fun, pleasant to learn will be better absorbed. So we started three new cartoons. The narrative cartoon stories, which is focused on children that are not familiar with the digital language. So it can be used in any environment, like home, school, library, and it's a tool for parents to supervise the children learning, or teachers, or anybody who can get involved with that kind of process of learning. Then we go to the gamified narrative cartoon stories, which is children that are familiar with digital language. They can use alone, they can learn, they can get stimulated, motivated to reach the end of the cartoon through fun challenges and whatever the game will offer through the process of growing and end. Then we have the narrative audio stories. which is focused on diversity and inclusion for children with visual disabilities and underprivileged communities with low access to information technology and communication, which is the base of the pyramid. We're talking about here of those poor countries in poor areas that don't have full access to internet, and we could use them with the audio product through, for example, community radios. Next.
Christina, do you have any product yet? At
yes,
this point, is there any of this that's live?
Yeah, we do have. We don't have the gamified. We do have a CD that was made with audio and animation. We have the audio for visual, the deficient children, and then we have 3 stories that we were able to develop back in 2005 that are in our web page, but they were made with, at that time when they were made, they had the best technology available, that was flashcards. With all the difficulties that we went through.
Christina, just a second before you go on. Are any of these products selling?
No, we have not. We are not selling anything. We don't have products to be sold.
But you said you have a CD that is ready.
Yeah, we do. We have a CD. We have 3 products: CD with animation and audio for visual deficient children, and 3 stories on the web that children and teachers can interact. That was a past technology, because after that we were not able to fund anything else, and then we kind of, hanging there, and now we decided that we are at the right time, because cellular phones, smartphones became a huge tool for learning, and then we realized that we need to go and move forward to go to the apps, to the gamified product. We are pretty much lost in how to answer a lot of our questions, even though we believe in our product, that we know there is a need for them. But we focus for target clients, corporations that have social advancement programs for the community, and countries in which they have business in. Just to give an example of that, we are able to show our concept and our Navega o Mundo to HP in Brazil for the marketing department. They love it, the concept, and ask us to propose a partnership worldwide for their educational department in Miami. So we did that. We have not heard for them yet. We see our product also as a final consumer, such as educators, students from age 7 to 12, and children with visual disabilities, and then government considering the public education.
So Christina, this is, again, it's too all over the place. You have to choose one thing that you're going to do. You have like a series of products that you have fantasies about building. You have a series of customers that you have fantasies of selling to. I would like to see one product and one target client, and then take it from there, building. There's companies have been built now for many, many decades, and there are some very specific steps. You have to put one step before the other to build a successful company, and you need to learn those steps of what those steps are and how to go about building a company. Just kind of like a laundry list of fantasies is not the way to build a company.
Okay, yeah, I can see that there is a lot of, fantasy in it, because we are lost, in how to do it and where to go.
So I think you kind of need to have to, at this point, double down and figure out a path of how you're going to learn how to build a business. If you decide that you want to do it with 1 million by 1 million, we'll be happy to teach you how to do that. If you want to do it some other way, that's fine, but that's your first order of business.
Okay. Thinking about segmentation analysis, we know that there is a gap in the world, in the global level for educational. Children are boring at school. They are not.
This is not a gap. There are tons of products trying to address this opportunity. This is why you're going to need to get much more precise and much more, laser sharp in positioning Where exactly is the gap, understanding the gap, doing the competitive analysis around a specific opportunity and finding something where you can actually enter a market and have an impact. This is what you're showing here is an incredibly crowded market. Okay. And this kind of 30,000-foot level fantasy is not going to help you build a business.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, so going back, you know, when we launched the Navega o Mundo, we wanted to reach children to learn in a different and fun way. So.
Yeah, but you haven't been able to articulate how you're different, what it's, you know, part of it is it seems like you have very little awareness of what's happening in the competitive landscape. There is this field is a rich field. There's a lot going on, so your question is, do you have a product? Are you fundable? Are you dreaming? You're not fundable. You do not have a product, and yes, you're dreaming. But dreaming is very important. You know, all entrepreneurs have to dream. Everything begins with a dream. But if you stop at the dreaming, then you will never build a company. So you're going to need to dream, and then you're going to need to put the pieces together to translate a dream into a product and into a business. That's the part that's missing here.
Okay, so but do you understand that I want to go to gamified apps using?
Yeah, you can go anywhere you want. I don't have a problem, but you're not going about it in any kind of way, any path that is going to lead to success. That's the issue.
Okay.
You're drastically missing methodology right now.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, thank
you very much. All right, so
hang
on. I will explain later on in the program. I'll explain how to use 1 million by 1 million. You need to work with something like that, whether it's 1 million by 1 million or something equivalent. You need to learn certain pieces, and without that, you're not going to be able to move forward.
Okay, I appreciate.
You can figure out how to learn them, but I will explain to you what to learn.
Okay, I will be on.
All right. The last presenter today is Akshay Avasti, Fridays to Freak. Akshay, please unmute your line and tell us what you're working on. Where is Akshay? Is something wrong with the audio?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So currently we are working on two parts of a product. One is a film factory, and other one is a platform to distribute whatever we would be producing. So if you could just go to the next slide, then we can start.
I will go to the next slide. Akshay, I see a note here, confidential investor presentation. This is a public roundtable. Nothing here is confidential. The recording will be published in our public channel.
Yeah,
sure.
I understand that. Yeah. So this is a kind of analysis that we did for 2015, and it clearly shows that still content is the king. If you look at the top ROI, still you can have more than 100% ROI if you're producing a Hindi movie within a 3 million of budget. So 50% of the movies having more than 100% ROI were produced with less than 3 million of the budget. So if you could just go to the next slide. So okay, so films really feel it's their budgets do. So in last 10 years, 15 years, when we are working in this industry, and we realize that if we are able to contain a film within specific budget and it's a content-oriented commercial film, then it's much more easier to sell rather than producing a movie which is around $10 million, $15 million. So we started mapping that how we can contain the costs. We started putting up various models from different industries, and since I have been working in a software industry, so we mapped each. So we identified 17 key processes in a film production, and I mapped it to whatever we are doing in producing a software product. And so currently these are the problems which Indian film industry is facing: highly complex multi-party funding structure. So We created one script. We went to a producer. He was ready to give $200K to produce a film. We started it. We completed 70% of the movie. He gave us $100K, and because he was also producing some other movies, and because of that, we got stuck. So whatever efficiency we gained in last 6-7 months in producing a movie is lost. So again, as I mentioned, that the other big problem that Indian movie industry is facing is piracy and control on film distribution. Because of that, the home and music rights doesn't sell very well as far as Indian film industry is concerned. And then when you look at the independent filmmakers in industry, so there are no standard practices of risk management, knowledge management. So you put up a team, you work with them, and once you disintegrate the team, so everything goes. So they don't do the knowledge management. They actually don't follow the standardized project management techniques. So we started building on these things, and we contained a lot of costs. So if you could just move on to the next slide. So as I mentioned, so what we are trying to do is we are trying to work on two solutions. One is creating a film factory where we are trying to institutionalize the funding. We have created 3 levels. One is a pre-production factory, which would have executive producers, content cell, directors. So, and then we are using all this agile and waterfall. We have brain knowledge management, everything into our portfolio. And as far as distribution is concerned, so what we are trying to do is we have created an app, but since this requires a lot of investment, so until I have that much amount of content, I cannot just go it and distribute in the market. So we have created an app through which we can host a movie on a cloud and distribute it overseas using an app. So there are 3-4 parts to it. So once you create a movie, once a movie is produced in India, so specifically the target model or target audience for this app is an overseas market. So people don't watch a movie in overseas market because they are being marketed at overseas. So there are around 100 and 115 movies released in India, which you could say are category A movies. So, and those are marketed well, but out of those 100 and 110 movies, only just 50 or 60 gets a good amount of exposure in an overseas market. And the way the film industry works is that, okay, they have a theoretical rights, satellite rights, home music, and overseas rights. So, by using this app, what I wanted to target is I wanted to pick those movies for which, though overseas rights are being sold, but those movies are not getting that amount of exposure across within the overseas market. So if you can go to the next slide. And so when we started testing the concept, so we found that if we are putting all these management techniques, so whether it's a project management, design concept, risk management, so you are able to contain 30 to 40% of the movie production costs, and based on our experience of what we have arrived at certain numbers and special genres which would help us in selling our movies in the market. So our target budget to produce a movie is around 700K. And there are 4 specific genres that we have identified based on last 3 to 4 years of research that we did in Indian market, where those 4 genres are the most profitable. Just hold on for a second. My laptop got locked. And apart from that, we tried venturing into television space as well. So we were able to whatever product that we created, that movie that we started, we created a promo of that. We showcased that in the market, and within 15 days, we were able to produce a part of a series, a part of a series within 15K, and which was shown in one of the national television of India. If you go to the previous slide, please. So this was something which we produced in a 15K budget. It was a 40 minutes episode, and it was shown in one of the national television in India. So if you could go to the next slide, please. Next slide. So yeah. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to create a film factory where we wanted to institutionalize the funding, where we wanted to bring all the best practices from the software industry into our film production process, which we have already done. So though we have created all the templates, which we have used it, we have tested it, and we can feel that using those concepts, we will be able to produce a movie with the investment of around 700K, but the value for that movie would be around 900K to $1 million. If you go to the next slide, so I have put the investment. This is the plan that what we wanted to do and how we wanted to utilize the platform which we wanted to create for the distribution of that particular movie channel. So,
Akshay, I'm going to stop you for a moment. You've presented for quite a while. It sounds like you're trying to build a movie studio of sorts with some specific management controls to be able to produce movies efficiently and on budget in certain genres. And your background, it seems, is in the software industry. Who is the filmmaker here? Films don't get Can you let me finish, please?
Sure.
Films do not succeed or fail on the basis of management controls. Films usually succeed or fail on the basis of a lot of other things that have nothing to do with software, have nothing to do with finance. They are, filmmaking elements. Who is the filmmaker?
So if you could just go to the next slide, so I'll tell you. So I have next in the last slide. So we have last slide, please. Next slide. So we have I have a very good connect, and so my friend Atul Dubey, though he is in a call, he is based out of India. But he is joining as an attendee. So he's a graduate from FTI Institute. So I have around 15 to 20 people from FTI Pune, who is part of my team. They're ready to work with my team, and currently they're working as independently. So because this is a highly unorganized market, and the amount of you could say the amount of investment required even to produce one movie is around somewhere the minimum investment we see to create a good movie is around 700K to 800K. So despite everything, so until unless I'm able to get that funding, which means maybe we are trying to do this since last 2-3 years, we managed to get it 200K, but because of certain reasons, we were not able to execute that fully. So so we are currently working on it. So this is something which I wanted to build on. And again, the good part about, so as I mentioned, there are two parts to it. One is a film production factory and other one is a platform. So people don't watch a movie, as I mentioned, because they are marketed outside India. And so I can always purchase
Akshay, we are running out of time. I'm going to give you some feedback, and we're going to have to stop in the next couple of minutes. So if you keep talking the whole time, there's no point of coming here, right? You want some feedback.
Yeah.
So see, if I put an investor hat on here, the thing that I would like to see is, I mean, this is a random group of people. There are some people with some experience in the film industry. There's people in the software industry who are trying to bring certain principles, and none of them really have any track record of running a fully, a successful, producing a successful film or running a successful studio. So I cannot bank on that. as an investor, I have to bank on some concept that this team has some magic sauce based on which they're going to produce successful, profitable film ventures.
Okay.
So then show me, you figure out how you're going to fund the first film, but show me a successful film.
Okay.
I'm not going to write a check without that. So the only people who are going to write that check perhaps are your friends and family, and you need to raise friends and family money to finance your first film and squeeze at every possible, opportunity and produce something that can be a pilot. It's the same concept as in the software industry. You need to show validation. You need to show proof of concept. Right now, it's like the concept is a bunch of mumbo jumbo, and I have no evidence that you guys can produce quality films. So as an investor, this is not an attractive value proposition for me.
Yeah, okay. So in a sense, we have produced a movie. I have a content available. So maybe I'm not able to showcase in this because it would require me to, in a sense, it was a huge file which I cannot send it directly to showcase, but definitely we can show the content, we can show the quality of our work, whatever we have done. And as I mentioned that the serial that we produce is available on YouTube. I can share the links where we have worked as a team, and we can show the content.
Yeah, but those are little clips. So if you think that you have the pilot of a potentially successful TV series there, then you would need to finance it through the channels of how to finance a TV series. Go find the financiers who do TV series financing and finance it that way. The software industry is not going to go finance films.
No, that's, yeah, I understand that. So we are
so
trying
you're going to need to go into the film industry financing channels and go raise financing from the film industry financing channels.
Yeah, we are trying to do that, but as I mentioned that it is very unstructured in India with the kind of money available. So means there are multiple. You could say things.
I'm going to need to stop at this point. We have a few more things to do here before we end the show, and I only have 8 minutes left. So thank you for your presentation. Good luck with your venture.
Thank you.
Folks, before I get into to explaining to you how to use 1M1M, let me also ask for help. If you like what we do here, please refer serious entrepreneurs who are working in technology and technology-enabled services to the program, because the only way we can achieve our mission is by working with serious entrepreneurs who are going to put in the work needed to build successful companies. Everything of our resources is at 1mby1m.com. You'll find a comprehensive resource base. There's a blog that is chock full of great educational material, inspirational material, informational material. The Entrepreneur Journeys book series is one way to start learning methodology. There are all sorts of different pieces where there are 12 books, 12 volumes of Entrepreneur Journeys. You can go to Kindle and buy all of them, any of them that you want to double click into. It's a case study based books where we dive into specific topics, whether it's bootstrapping with a paycheck or positioning, whatever. It's a reasonable starting point for you to learn things. On the website, you'll find tons of videos, video FAQs about the program. These roundtables happen every week. So this is our 292nd roundtable, and we will be here pretty much every week for a while. Go to the free public roundtable page and register to pitch or attend. Also, we have a $1,000 annual membership fee premium program where we offer you extensive methodology guidance. We teach you everything. It's essentially a mini entrepreneurship MBA, and you are going to learn all the methodology pieces that you need to learn. There's a curriculum that is delivered in video lectures and case studies. We help you with business development. We help you with strategy consulting. We help you with financing if it turns out that you have a financeable situation, and we'll help you figure that out. We'll teach you how to become a fundable company if that's the direction that you're interested in. And we also help you with media relations. That's the premium program. If you go to the website, the $1 Million Club shows you case studies of successful 1M companies. The ROI equation is analyzed in detail in quantifying the 1M value equation, also on our homepage. We offer $375,000 plus 5 to 10% equity worth of value through just a $1,000 annual membership fee. So it's a very, very high value program that we are offering for a very small price, just because our mission is to democratize entrepreneurship education and incubation. That's pretty much it. You can go dig around on the website. There's lots of information about what to expect from the program, lots of video FAQs and so forth. The curriculum is taught in video lectures and case studies. We've had over 700 successful entrepreneurs participate in developing this curriculum, in sharing their case studies. Today you heard from Raj Datta. He's part of that ecosystem. They have shared very generously their entire process, their methodology, how they've put one foot before the other, and you can learn from these entrepreneurs. And we have built real methodology based on which we have seen a lot of success evolve out of the program, emerge out of the program. So you're going to need, for instance, I told you, Christina, that there are certain things that you're going to need to learn. You're going to learn methodology for bootstrapping. You're going to need to learn positioning. Many of you need to learn positioning. It's a core piece that is missing from many of your knowledge base. Market sizing, customer acquisition, financing, customer validation, team building, all these pieces you're going to need to learn, and we will teach you through the program as long as you decide to work with 1 Million by 1 Million. All this is part of the offering. Our methodology is lean, capital efficient, bootstrap startups. We believe very heavily in validation, early validation, so that you can actually attract investors if that's the direction that you want to go or need to go. And then we also help you with getting the word out through our media channels. We have an extensive community and ecosystem that touches over 250,000 people at this point, and we will bring you in front of that audience through our various media channels, both social media and otherwise. Our affiliate program is 10% commission. Those of you who are working on programs in different parts of the world and want to become an affiliate partner, you're welcome to do that. There are 3 more roundtables in February, so if you need a slot to pitch, please go ahead and register. These slots get booked up way in advance, so you do need to register soon so that Maureen can book you for a slot sometime this month or early next month. Vision India 2020 is the 13th book from 1 Million by 1 Million, and we have published $45 billion business ideas. And you can take any of them and morph, interpret it whatever way you want to. This is an ideation book. If you haven't zeroed in on an idea yet, this may be a good way to do so, and it applies to emerging markets, not just India, all the emerging markets. These ideas are mostly emerging market-focused ideas. We have a program called the Incubator in the Box, which we use to work with corporations and governments and so forth and so on, to run their incubation programs in partnership with us. That's pretty much it. I have a very little bit of time to take questions. So if any of you would like to ask a question or two, please feel free to use the public chat or call in. The numbers are on your screen. Anybody? And while you're doing that, let me introduce you to Irina Patterson. If you have questions about the 1M program, please email Irina at 1mby1m.com, and she will be happy to answer your questions. Does anybody have any questions? So folks, those of you who are in need of help to learn one thing or the other, if you need to learn positioning, if you need to learn methodology in general, and if you decide to do that with 1 Million by 1 Million, what would happen is you're going to sign up for the program and you're going to start studying based on the curriculum here. And you're going to ask questions, and you're going to attend the roundtables, and that's just the fastest way that you can ramp yourselves up. Anybody else? questions, comments? Andre Kalkachan, can $1,000 annual fee be paid in 12 payments? No, it cannot be paid in 12 payments. You can make your credit card payments in 12 payments. You pay by credit card, and then you can pay your credit card payments in 12 payments. Any other questions, folks? Last call? All right, we'll see you next week then, same place, same time, and hope you're going to come back, and we're going to have another working session. As you can see, this is a working session. The whole feedback process is designed to give you feedback so that you can move forward. And I hope you found some nuggets today during the conversation, and we'll act upon it. Thank you very much for coming. Bye, everybody.